fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
Marble Hall of the Death Consortium echoed with the whispers of millennia, a haunting melody that resonated deep within my bones. Each footfall I took across the polished floor sent a shiver up my spine, not from cold, but from the sheer weight of ages contained within these walls. I traced the veins of gold inlaid in the floor with the toe of my worn leather boot, the chill of the stone seeping through the soles and into my very being, a constant reminder of my own stasis. Centuries. I'd lost count, truthfully. The numbers blurred into an endless, meaningless stream. My throat burned not with disuse, but with the weight of the words I'd rehearsed for centuries, the plea I'd carved into my soul, a litany of longing and desperation. Death is not banned here within the heart of the consortium. It is negotiated, a cruel irony considering I wasn't seeking life, merely release, and I was ready to beg for it. The air tasted like incense and iron, a strange, metallic tang that clung to the back of my throat. It was the scent of power, of ancient beings, of immortals watching my petition with detached curiosity. The weight of their gazes pressed upon me, heavy and suffocating. My palms slicked with sweat, despite the hall's perpetual chill. I clenched my fists, forcing myself to breathe, to focus. This was it, the culmination of centuries of quiet suffering. The consortium's arbiter, a being of shifting shadows and veiled eyes, finally unrolled my ledger. It wasn't parchment, not exactly. More like solidified starlight, shimmering with the record of my endless years. The light cast dancing patterns on the marble, momentarily distracting me from the dread that coiled in my stomach. Kael of the sundered stars, they intoned, their voice a chorus of whispers that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. State your reason for cessation. I opened my mouth, the carefully constructed words poised on my tongue. I would speak of the emptiness, the endless repetition, the soul-crushing weight of immortality. I would plead for oblivion, but the words caught in my throat, strangled by a sudden, inexplicable tremor, because then they appeared. Seraphina moved like a blade unsheathed, a whirlwind of dark elegance. Her nightshade silk gown whispered promises against my skin as she glided past the arbiter, the fabric seeming to flow and ripple like liquid shadow. The scent that preceded her, wildfire and winterberries, a dangerous and intoxicating combination, made my body ache with a longing I hadn't realized I was capable of feeling. It was a primal, instinctive response, a pull so strong it threatened to unravel my carefully constructed composure. My heart, long dormant, stuttered to life, hammering against my ribs. Behind her, Leora followed, radiating warmth and light. Her sun-kissed skin glowed with an inner luminescence, and her stormy gray eyes locked onto mine, holding me captive in their depths. A slow, knowing smile curved her lips, and a laugh, like the chime of distant bells, melted the last vestiges of my resolve. It wasn't a mocking laugh, but one filled with recognition, and something else, something that felt like a promise. Her hand reached out, brushing against my arm, and the touch branded me with a searing, exquisite need. It wasn't a gentle touch, but a claiming one, a declaration. Two fated mates, the realization slammed into me with the force of a physical blow, stealing my breath and leaving me reeling. It was impossible. The consortium didn't allow for this, not anymore. The ancient laws forbade entanglement, especially for those seeking cessation. It was considered a disruption, a complication, and yet here they were. Seraphina with her dangerous allure and Leora with her radiant warmth, two halves of a whole, and I was the fulcrum upon which their fates and mine balanced. The consortium's hall blurred around the edges, the marble pillars dissolving into streaks of gray and gold. The arbiter's voice faded into a distant hum. All I could see, all I could feel was the heat of their gazes, the pull of their presence. Seraphina's hand reached for mine, her fingers interlacing with my own, sending a jolt of electricity through my veins. Leora stepped closer, her body brushing against mine, and the scent of sunshine and sea salt filled my senses. Their twin flames consumed me, body, soul, and every cursed century I'd endured. It wasn't a violent conflagration, but a slow, deliberate burn, a merging of energies that felt both terrifying and right. A wave of dizziness washed over me, and I stumbled, bracing myself against Seraphina's arm. What is happening?" I managed to stammer, my voice barely a whisper. Seraphina's lips curved into a predatory smile. "You're being claimed, Kael." Her voice was a silken caress, laced with a hint of steel. Leora's hand cupped my cheek, her thumb tracing the line of my jaw. "We've been searching for you for a long time." Her eyes held a depth of emotion that I couldn't decipher, a mixture of longing, relief, and something akin to possessiveness. But the cessation, the words felt hollow, meaningless. The plea I'd prepared for centuries suddenly seemed insignificant, a childish whim in the face of this overwhelming force. "That can wait," Serafina said, her voice firm. "You are needed elsewhere." "We have plans for you, Kael," Leora added, her gaze unwavering. "Plans that involve a great deal more than simply ending." A strange sense of surrender washed over me. I had spent centuries seeking oblivion, but now, faced with the possibility of something else, something more, I found myself strangely reluctant to let go. The weight on my soul hadn't vanished, but it felt lighter, as if a burden I hadn't even realized I was carrying had been partially lifted. The Arbiter cleared their throat, a sound that finally pierced through the haze of my senses. "This is unprecedented." Serafina's eyes flashed with a dangerous light. "We are aware of the Consortium's reservations, but Kael is with us now." Leora squeezed my hand, her touch grounding me, "and that is all that matters." I looked from one to the other, my mind reeling. I had come here to die, and instead I had found life, or something very much like it. A life bound to two powerful, enigmatic beings, a life filled with uncertainty and danger, but also with a promise of something extraordinary. The marble hall of the Death Consortium no longer felt like a tomb, but a gateway to a future I hadn't dared to imagine. And for the first time in centuries, I felt a flicker of hope ignite within my soul. Perhaps, just perhaps, endless wasn't so bad after all.